Alright guys, let's do this. Let's do this demo, create a cryptocurrency interacting with our blockchain in Postman on our 3 nodes with you, with me and Kirill. So speaking of these nodes, we have them ready. That's the node 5001, that's the node 5002, and that's the node 5003. Alright, and we have our 2 JSON files, one file for the nodes and one file for the transaction. So we have everything ready, let's do this. Now the question is, how are we going to do that demo? Well, I could either test it on several computers, or I could even make a call with Kirill and do a live video chat, with him being in Australia and receiving the ad coins in live. I thought of doing this, but I was afraid that the streaming would not be that great, and therefore I came up with another solution, which is to create 2 other consoles here, which is exactly like having 2 other computers connected to 2 different servers. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this node 1, which is my node, on console 1. Then I'll make another console and I'll run node 5002 on console 2. Then I'll make a third console and I'll run node 5003 on this console 3. Alright, so if you're ready, let's do this, and then we'll move on to Postman to exchange a lot of ad coins. Alright, so let's start with node 5001 in console 1. Let's run this. Here we go. Node 5001, all good. Now let's make a new console. So you click on this tool button here and then on open an IPython console. There you go, that's your second console on which we're going to run node 5002. So selecting all this, that's Kirill's node. Let's do this, running the app on node 5002. Perfect. And now let's take care of your node. So again, a new console here, you click on the tool button and then open an IPython console. And we are going to run node 5003, that is your node, on console 3. And there we go, we have our 3 nodes running. And so now I can tell you we have our decentralized blockchain up and running. So we're going to test it out now. We're going to jump to Postman. And to do this, we're going to go to our list of programs or applications, double click on Postman to launch Postman. And in a matter of seconds, we'll interact with our blockchain. So let's close this, we don't need this, and here we go, let's get started. Alright, so first thing we're gonna do is, since I'm not gonna jump from one computer to another but doing everything on the same computer, well, I'm going to create 2 more tabs here. Each of them will be for each of our nodes. So this will be for the node 5001, my node, this will be for the node 5002, Kirill's node, and this will be for the node 5003, your node. So let's start with my node, and the first thing we're going to do is get the chain to see if the Genesis block was well created. So remember what we have to do, we have to enter the request URL. So let's get the main root of our node, which is http://127.0.0.1, and then I'll take this, but it's going to be of course 5001 for my node. So going back to Postman, let's paste that here. Let's replace node 5000 by 5001. That's my node. And now let's get the get chain request. I think we're all good. Let's press enter. And there we go. Welcome to the Genesis block. Great. So now we're going to take care of the other node. Let's do the same now for Kirill. So I'm going to paste that again. Replace 5000 by 5002 because Kirill is on node 5002, and then here add get chain again, and let's press enter. Perfect, that's the Genesis block as well. Don't worry about the timestamp, which is not the same as my timestamp. This issue is going to be fixed as soon as we apply the consensus. Indeed, all the nodes in the decentralized blockchain must have the same blocks. So here we have the same previous hash and the same proof, but we'll also have the same timestamp once we apply the consensus. Alright, and now let's take care of your node. Get request as well. Let's copy this. You are on the node 5003, and let's not forget to add the get chain request. And there we go. Congratulations, you have your Genesis block. Okay, so that was the first part of the test, the first part of the demo. That's done. Now it's going to get slightly more challenging, because what we're going to do is make our first post request. We're going to make our first post request to connect the nodes to each other. And therefore, what you have to do now is select post on your node. So I'm going to do this for each of the 3 nodes, post here and post here. And let's start with my node. So what we want to do now is connect the nodes, and therefore I'm going to go back to Python, to my nodes JSON file. I'm going to select all this, copy it, and then go back to Postman to make this post request. So to make a post request, first you need to select post as we did, then you need to select the right request, which to connect node we called connect node. All right, that's the name of the request. And then make sure to follow here. We need to go to body, and then we need to select raw, and then here, don't forget this, select here JSON, application JSON, and then you can paste the JSON file. But since we're connecting the nodes from node 5001, of course here we will remove all this, because this is the address of node 5001, and in order to connect the node 5001 to the other nodes, well, we'll simply need to input the other nodes, that is Kirill's node, node 5002, and your node, node 5003. So there we go, this should be all good. Now we're gonna check if that works. I'm a little bit worried, we never know, but let's press enter, and there we go, all the nodes are now connected. Congratulations, the Adcoin blockchain now contains the following nodes, 5002 and 5003, besides node 5001. Awesome, that works. Congratulations, you've just sent your very first post request. And so now we're going to do the same for the other node. We are going to connect the nodes from node 5002. So connect node here. Same, we go to body, then we go to raw, and then here we select JSON. Then to be efficient, we can just copy this. We paste that here, and here we select 5001 and 5003 because we're connecting the node 5002 to the other nodes, which are 5001 and 5003. All right, so if you're ready, everything seems to be all good. Let's press enter. Perfect, all the nodes are now connected. Let's quickly do the same for your node. From node 5003, post request. The request is connect node. Now we go to body, we go to raw, and we select JSON. And now we're going to take this and paste it and replace, of course, 5003 by 5002 because we're connecting your node 5003 to my node 5001 and Kirill's node 5002. All right, so again, let's press enter. Perfect, all the nodes are now connected. Our blockchain is fully connected now. You know, it's like a fully connected graph for those of you who like graph theory. Of course, in a real life blockchain system, we would have an extra program that automates all this, you know, all the connections of these nodes each time we add a node on the blockchain, but this is how it goes behind the scene. Okay, so congratulations, we're done with our first post request. No worries, we're going to test the other one, the add transaction post request, but not right now. Now we're going to test the consensus. We're going to test what happens if on one node we get a chain that is larger than the chains on the other nodes. And therefore, what I'm going to do now is first I'm going to go back to the get request in the 3 nodes because otherwise I'm sure I will forget. So get, and so now what we're going to do is mine a block on my node. So mine block, that's the request, remember? I'm mining a block on my node. On the get request, all good. Let's press enter. And here we go. Congratulations, you just mined the block, you being me. The proof is 533. And of course, since I'm the miner, well, my node, which has this address, sends 1 Adcoin to me, Hadelin. Okay, so interesting. We just mined a new block, and therefore my new chain, if we have a look at it, thanks to the get chain request, well, here is my new chain. Here is the blockchain on my node. So I have 2 blocks. But if we have a look at Kirill's chain now by selecting the get chain request, well, he only has 1 block, which is not good because he should have 2. And you get the same deal. If we send the get chain request on your node, well, you will also have 1 block. The Genesis block. All right, so no worries, we're going to fix that now by applying the replace chain request. So let's do that for Kirill's first. I'm on Kirill's node right now, and I'm selecting here the replace chain request. It's a GET request. Make sure to have that selected. Replace chain. We are on Kirill's node 5002. We are ready to replace the chain. And here we go. The nodes had different chains, so Kirill's chain was replaced by the longest one. Awesome. And now we have the new chain with the Genesis block, which by the way is now having his issue solved because we should have the same timestamp as my Genesis block. Here we go. 5 p.m. and 11 minutes. Perfect. And of course we have my transaction from my node to myself because I mined a new block. And here for you now, well, if we get the chain again, of course, you will still have just one block. So we are gonna fix that for you now. Replace chain by sending the replace chain request. Let's press enter. And there we go. You now have the same chain as Kirill and me. So perfect. Second part of the demo smashed. Okay, so now we're gonna test the next post request, which is the add transaction post request. And this is gonna be fun because I'm gonna send a lot of add coins to Kirill and even more add coins to you. I'm gonna send 10,000 add coins to Kirill and 100,000 add coins to you. So the first thing we need to do is first select the post request because the add transaction request is a post request, and then we need to get the right name here. So the name of the request is add transaction. That's the name of the request. We're doing this on my node because I have all the add coins, but you're about to get some as well. So add transaction, then we go to body, then here of course we'll have a different JSON file, so we'll go back to Python to get our transaction JSON file. Let's copy this, let's go back to Postman, and let's replace the previous JSON file for the nodes by the JSON file for the transaction. Alright, so this is going to be a transaction from myself, Hadelin, to Kirill, because I'm sending some add coins to Kirill. Alright, so here I'm just entering our names, Hadelin and Kirill, but of course in real life we should enter our public key. You know, that's how it's done. We don't enter it this way. We need unique identifiers, which is the public key. You also have the private key. That's the key you keep on your wallet, like Copay or MyEthereum, whatever you want. And you'll see, by the way, in module 3, we'll work on my Ether wallet. But anyway, the transaction is from the sender Hadelin to the receiver Kirill. And as I said, I'm going to send to Kirill 10,000 add coins, right? 10,000, all good. So that's the transaction. That's the JSON file for the transaction. And now let's check we have everything all good. Post, add transaction on node 5001, which is my node. And I'm sending to Kirill 10,000 add coins. Okay, so let's test this. Again, slightly worried. We never know. 3, 2, 1, go. Awesome. This transaction, the transaction of 10,000 add coins from myself to Kirill, will be added to block 3. Remember that's the block index +1. All right, perfect. So we have this transaction, but wait, this transaction is not yet added to a block. We need to mine a block first to welcome this transaction and add it to the blockchain. So that's exactly what we'll do right now. And that's why I'm going back to the GET request. And so now you'll see if I mine a block, thanks to the mine block request from my node 5001, well, what will we get? We will get a new block containing 2 transactions. The first one is from the node to myself because I'm the miner who just mined the block and I just got 1 add coin. And of course, the second transaction from myself to Kirill of 10,000 add coins. All right, perfect. So not 100% perfect because now the issue is that on the other node that is on Kirill's node and on your node, you'll see that they won't have the most up-to-date chain. We can check that now. If we have a look at our chain now, sending the get chain request, well, now my chain has 3 blocks with, of course, the genesis block, the first block that I mined, and the second block with my transaction from the node to myself, and the transaction from myself to Kirill of 10,000 ATCoins. So basically I have 3 blocks, but then if we have a look at Kirill's chain by selecting get chain here, well, Kirill's chain only has 2 blocks, and same for you, you only have 2 blocks, right? 2, length 2, 3 blocks here, 2 blocks here, and 2 blocks here. No worries, we're gonna fix that right now, applying the consensus using our replace chain request. And there we go, the nodes had different chains, so Kirill's chain was replaced by the longest one. And now Kirill gets this new transaction that we made from myself to Kirill of 10,000 ATCoins. Great, and by the way, if we send that request again, replace chain, well, let's see what happens. Well, we have the actual chain and the message says, all good, the chain is the largest one. So that's all good for Kirill. Now let's take care of you. Get chain, we're gonna send the replace chain request. And there you go. You have your chain replaced by the longest one. Everyone is up to date. That's awesome. And you get the last transaction in the third block. All right, perfect. Third part of the test smashed as well. Now we're gonna move on to the last part of the test. Well, it's actually not even a new part because we're basically going to do the same, but as I promised you, I'm gonna send you 100,000 ATCoins. So let me do this for you right now. I'm going back to my node. I'm selecting the post request because we're gonna post a new transaction from me to you of 100,000 ATCoins, and therefore I'm getting back to my add transaction method, and now we're gonna go back to buddy. We're gonna, well, everything's ready here. I'm still the sender, Hadelin, but now the receiver is you, and I'm adding 10 for you to send you 100,000 ATCoins. So 100,000 ATCoins for you. I sound like a shitty seller here, sorry about that. Just a quick reminder that the ATCoin is worth absolutely nothing. So post, all good, post request, add transaction, buddy, raw, JSON, from Hadelin to you, 100,000 ATCoins. So if now you're ready to get all this, let's press enter. And there we go, this transaction will be added, of course, to block 4 because the actual chain of our blockchain now contains 3 blocks. So of course this transaction will be added to the next block, that is block 4. And so now what do we have to do? Well, we have to mine a new block to welcome this transaction into block 4. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do because I'm still the sender. This transaction was sent from my node. So we're going to go back to the get request. We're going to go back to the mine block request. And there we go. Now let's press enter to create this new block containing 2 transactions. The one related to the fact that I just mined this new block and therefore giving me 1 ATCoin. And of course the transaction from myself to you, giving you 100,000 ATCoins. All right, and now the final step to do is just to apply the consensus on these 2 nodes here to make sure every node in the blockchain has the same chain. So let's do this. We can, if you want, first get our chain here. That's our chain containing 4 blocks with the 2 transactions of ATCoins from myself to Kirill of 10,000 ATCoins and from myself to you of 100,000 ATCoins. So 4 blocks, perfect. But now if we get your chain in, well, first in Kirill's node, get chain. Well, Kirill only has 3 blocks, so that's not good. Let's fix that right away. Replace chain. Let's press enter. And there we go, the nodes had different chains, so the chain was replaced by the longest one. And now if we press enter again, all good. We have the actual chain in Kirill's node. All good, the chain is the largest one. And if you want, we can just call the get chain request again to check that Kirill's chain is the same as mine. Yes, as you can see, it's exactly the same. I'm switching between my node and Kirill's node. All good. And now let's make sure you are also on the same page. So here we go, everything's ready here. Let's check your actual chain in the blockchain. So get chain here. There we go. You have 3 blocks, not good. So let's fix this right away. let's replace get chain here by replace chain. And now in 2 seconds, we will all be aligned. There we go. The nodes had different chains, so your chain was replaced by the longest one. You now have 4 blocks, and you have the 2 transactions of 10,000 altcoins and 100,000 altcoins. Perfect. We can do a last check to get your chain and check that we all have the same chain of 4 blocks. So pressing enter here. There we go. That's your chain. Now let's switch very quickly to each of the node to check that we have the same chain. Yes, that seems to be the case. We can even scroll down for each. 5002 and 5003. Let's see my node, Kirill's node, and your node. All good. We all have the same chain. Congratulations.